There were a few things which I picked up, so knowledge that I didn't know before the placement, as well as skills that I've picked up. Knowledge-wise, in terms of health and safety for rugby within schools now, this wasn't a thing when I was there. I didn't know that this had changed until this placement, that even though we weren't doing contact, in order for me to have been able to do contact with my students in year 8, I would have first have to have got notification and an agreement, so an informed consent basically, from parents of these children to ask whether it's okay for them to play rugby, because it is a contact sport and that's why it's informed consent, because there are risks with playing rugby. So and they're not old enough obviously to make that decision for themselves, so parents can make that decision for them based on whether they feel the benefits of rugby outweigh the risks, in which it does. However, just because I say it does doesn't mean that someone else say it will. Doesn't mean someone else doesn't like that. I say it because I play it, but when we're talking about children's safety, I'm 19, I was 20, we're talking about year 8s here. When it comes to their health and safety, parents aren't necessarily always that easygoing and forthcoming when it comes to things that could risk harm to their children, and I fully understand that. That's what the informed consent would be there for. So that's now enforced by the rules of the school. Also, added on top of that, for the health and safety, everyone has to wear a gum shield when playing school rugby, contact school rugby. If your child hasn't got a gum shield or doesn't wear a gum shield, doesn't bring a gum shield to the PE session, and it's contact, they're not allowed to take part. That, once again, that's for health and safety issues. Even though gum shields in itself isn't a necessity, and it's not really enforced by the laws or the rules of the game. It's up to you whether you want to do gum shield. Personally, I don't wear a gum shield. Yes, it probably means there's more chances of me getting hurt. However, I've made that decision because I can make that decision. As for when it comes to the year 8s, it's all about health and safety and making sure that we minimise the risks of contact rugby as much as we can. So that's why that's now a rule within not just my school but within all schools across the UK, that you have to wear, in order to contact rugby, you have to wear a gum shield. If you don't have one, you can no longer participate. I think when it comes to things that I can take into the future, so skills, a lot of it was to do with being able to deal with children and different types of children, and knowing how to react and be patient with them. I think as a teacher, it's one of the things that you do pick up and you do learn to become patient with them a bit better. And I'm not a teacher or anything, but I still had to do that same process in order for me to get the best out of these students, get them giving me the respect that I want, and I'll give them the respect that they want. And then you'll tend to find that if we can connect that bond, that the sessions run smoother, and they do what you say, they understand and listen to what you say much better, and everything improves a lot well. And in my case, I did earn the respect of the students because it was because I knew, and they could tell that I knew what I was talking about, which was helpful. Because if they didn't, and I made it so it was easy for them to understand, because rugby is a complicated sport, and I could waffle on for ages about the rules and the laws and everything like that, and everything will just go up through one ear and out the other. So doing basic rugby and explaining it basically for these kids makes it so much easier for them to understand. And I think maybe that was a skill I had to learn. It's a skill that I have now learned and obtained, which I can then take on to the future if I ever do work as a teacher, if I ever do coach younger kids. Being able to do that is a great skill to have learned. Coming on with that, I think a lot of it's to do with the language that was used. So obviously that's once again coming down with explaining basically, making it easy to understand, make sure that you're confident in what you're saying. I think if you're confident in what you're saying, then they'll pick up on that better and they'll probably listen better. If you're not too sure about what you're saying, then the chances are I know I would be, the chances are they're going to go, well, if you don't know, I don't know how we're going to do it. So I think that's why it's important to have that sort of language on how you speak. It's not just body language, but the tone in your voice, how you feel, how you're acting, how you reacting to what they do, how they're reacting to what you do. You both pick up on them vibes, and I think once you can establish how to do that best, every time you go into a coaching environment, every time I go into a coaching environment with kids, and not just kids, but with adults as well, doing the exact same process of what language to use, what body language to use, how you're feeling. You can take that into future, and once you've established that connection the best, just like how you're dealing with kids, the sessions will run a lot smoother. They'll respect you and you respect them. When it comes to kids as well, it's about kids in school, it's about punishment. I think when your patients does get tested too much, they go across the line, and you do have to punish them. For me, even though it's frustrating because it's not what I was taught, they just have to sit out the session for 5-10 minutes maybe. Even though I want them involved, you have to, or I want them doing something at least. You have to sit them aside 10 minutes and then leave them there, just keep an eye on them, and then when you think they're ready to come back, when they think they're ready to come back into the session, then you can allow them back in. How I was, not necessarily how I was taught at school, but how I was coached in rugby environments, was that if we did something wrong or we was testing the patient or the coach or whatever, it would be some sort of physical exercise that would become the punishment, and therefore you wouldn't do it again because you didn't want to do the exercise. However, no matter what age, you're not allowed to do that in schools, and it's just how Ofsted work. If they was to come in, or someone else outside of you was to come in, and then you saw that on a way of punishment, you were getting them to do jogs around the pitch or whatever, they'd pull you up straight away. I think the reason for that is because they want to increase participation in sport, and they want it to seem fun. And then if every time they go wrong, or they do, or make a mistake, or they're not doing as they're told, they're going to do laps of the pitch, which is boring and a lot of effort. It's going to deflate them, and they're not going to get into it as much, and they're perhaps not going to be as confident when they're going into sports, or may just stop doing sports altogether so they don't have to do all this jogging around and everything. So even though that's not necessarily the case with some kids, for example, like me, where I enjoyed the sport, I didn't see playing the sport as something I had to do, something I wanted to do. However, when it comes to core PE, it's something they have to do. So punishing them by doing laps of the pitch only deflates them even more, whether they were enjoying doing core PE or not, especially if they're not enjoying it, and then you're doing the laps of the pitch, so they enjoy it even less. So I think that's why that rule's in state. But yeah.